Welcome back to Science HD, everyone. How are you doing in the chat live on Twitch? If you're not in the chat live on Twitch, that means you're probably watching a video at home or on a plane or on a train, in a car, hopefully not while driving unless you're just using it for the podcast on YouTube. And I invite you to join us on Twitch sometime. It is a great experience here, and you can actually be part of the show, kind of, because we read chat all the time because we like involving our chat. Welcome back to Science HD. My name is Nolan, and this is
Rose.
And we also have Captain behind me, who, if you keep your eye out, he'll be playing with his toys probably, or just be doing random stuff.
I'm sleeping.
We also have a special guest today, and I'll let him introduce himself in a second. And I'm gonna just get through these two things, and then we'll go straight for our special guest, who's awesome. Our first thing that I want to throw out there before we get going is our merchandise. If you really want to buy it, I'm not trying to promote it for like profit or anything. I just want to throw it out there because I thought it was cool and it's free for me to like promote and set up. So I was like, you know what? Maybe someone wants it. So I highly suggest it. That crew neck that's pictured is the white version of this. I actually really like that. I would have gotten white, but I'm too clumsy, so gray is better. There's also some other color variations. There's a hoodie, which I actually want to buy soon anyways. Yeah, so if you want to spend any money on that, go for it. There's also some stickers I threw on there, that we made ourselves. I put volume 1 and volume 2 because I want to make sure that we keep track of like our trials and everything, because we got some cool designs that could possibly be on the way. I have some good ideas. And Rose is a good artist, so we might combine my ideas with her skills and create something awesome. If anyone in the chat notices my audio is bad or no one's hearing me, please let me know. But yeah. Yes. So if you want to be a guest on here, or if you know someone that would like to be a guest on here, or if you know someone that would make a good guest on here, email is sciencehdpodcast@gmail.com, and sending us science posters would be cool too. If you email us, be like, yo, I want to send you a poster. I can give you some deets on how to do that. Because this is a blank wall behind us, and I think it'd be cool if we filled it up with posters since we're probably going to be here a while. And we already have like 5 little posters, and I want to buy some myself just to get it going. But like, if anyone wants to send a poster, let me know. And then now is time for our guest, who is on Discord with us right now, and we are going to be chatting with him for a little bit, because he's cool. And just to warm you up a little bit, he is our friend, at first a friend of a friend, but I consider him our friend. And we went to school around him. And yeah, fellow Michigander, and his name is Shane. What up, Shane?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I already told Nolan, but I have been ridiculously excited for this. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Sweet. Yeah. I guess this is good. We already mic checked, but I guess now that we're live, sometimes it messes up. So once again, if anyone in chat is saying he's not loud enough, I can always turn him up, and I'd greatly appreciate that. I actually might just do it anyways.
Yeah, here's one more mic test for you, just to see if anybody...
Yeah, no, you sound good. I would just...
Okay.
It's just volume levels, because I was wearing headphones and now I'm not, so... But yeah. Anyways, Shane, before you get started on something that you brought that you want to talk about, we have an interrogation for you of questions that you may or may not have looked over.
Okay, right on. Lay them on me.
Yep, easy going. Since you're new to Science H Dizzle, first question is, since we're all friends in real life, and we have you on social media, we noticed that you took an internship not too long ago, and was wondering what that was like, and what was it for exactly, if you could share. I don't know if you have any like...
NDAs you signed.
Yeah, NDAs.
Yeah. So yeah, last summer I got to spend out in Utah working for Space Dynamics Laboratory. And so they're one of 14 UARCs in the United States, and UARC stands for University Affiliated Research Center. And so there's 14 different kind of DoD funded centers for researching, things of military significance. So Space Dynamics Laboratory is one that has core competencies in satellites, data systems, and electro-optical sensors. And so I got to spend the summer doing model-based systems engineering for, I can't talk too much about the satellite itself, but it's a satellite that collects electromagnetic waves, if that narrows it down for you at all. So model-based systems engineering, if you're not familiar with systems engineering, it's basically, you have to build a rocket or a satellite. And so you need a way to bring together the different disciplines of engineering. So you have to bring together the mechanical side, the electrical side, sometimes, the RF or electromagnetic side. You have to get them to all interface with each other properly. And so, yeah, the systems engineer's job is to make sure that all of those different engineering disciplines can work together properly on your final project.
Damn. Well, that's some legit stuff right there. And that's exactly why we brought you on here, to pick your brain about that. So I guess right as you started, I was like, wait, people probably don't know what you went to school for, or if you graduated or not, or like what your experience is in engineering or anything like that. Do you want to?
Yeah. So I just graduated in December from Michigan Tech. I had just a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering, and I loved every second of bits. I mean, if I went back, I wouldn't do anything different. So yeah, I've loved anything about space since I was as young as I can remember. Space shuttles to me are like the coolest thing in the world. And so, yeah, I've really been pursuing the dream of working on the next generation of spaceflight vehicles.
Yeah, that's cool. I know Rose is. I always think of you two as like you're like the boy version of Rose, or Rose is like the girl version of you, because you both love space, and it's funny.
Yeah.
Think of it like that. I always thought space was cool too. Although I've never been. When you meet a space nerd, or at least when I meet a space nerd, it's either like, oh yeah, you think space is cool. I don't know who doesn't think space is cool, other than like flat earthers. But which, by the way, if I ever get a flat earther on here, I really want to invite you back so I can hear you pick their brain about it too, because I feel like you would have a lot to say to a flat earther.
I would love to. So let me know if there's that opportunity.
But when I meet a space nerd, I feel like it's never just like, oh yeah, I love space, it's cool, it's like my favorite thing, like a baseball team or something. It's like I want it to be my life. Like that's like a true space nerd.
It's cool. I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah, right.
Right.
I mean, one of my favorite things about it is just like when JFK founded NASA with his speech at Rice. He says, "Why climb the highest mountain? Right? Why do we do the hardest thing we can imagine? And like, what is harder than living in space where there's literally like nothing?" I don't know. I just see it as like the greatest challenge to overcome.
Right. Yeah.
It really inspires a lot of greatness.
Yeah, I think everyone should take a trip to Cape Canaveral and just look at all the space stuff there. I've been there maybe twice, and I was just so young though, I don't remember much of it, but that stuck with me. And I'm not even like a big space nerd. I can just appreciate space, which makes me sound lame, but I don't know. I feel like that's the average human being.
Yeah.
But
when I went to the space symposium, or not symposium, space I'm blanking. What's the really nice museums in Washington D.C.?
Smithsonian.
Yes.
Smithsonian.
Thank you. I went to the space one. I walked in the doors, saw like a replica of some shuttles and stuff, and I bawled. I was crying to myself in the corner.
I got to go to Kennedy in January of last year, and their display with the full Atlantis space shuttle is unbelievable. You have to go see it in person. I won't spoil it, but it's probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, it would be cool for ScienceHD thing to go to like a cool ass museum like that. And
travel.
Yeah, we have the GoPro. So, but yeah, cool, sweet. We have another question for you. This one I thought of. I think I thought of the first two at least. I know Rose thought of some too in here. But this one's kind of hard to answer if you don't think about it beforehand. But what is your favorite science phenomenon currently is a better way to put it, because that probably changes a lot. But if it doesn't, what's your favorite one?
Man, I don't know. Like I've got a few options written down here, and I'm trying to decide between them. I think the Northern Lights. I think you see them once, and it's like it's magical. It really is magical.
Yes.
So yeah, my favorite like scientific phenomenon in science is probably the Northern Lights. My favorite like phenomenon with science is our ability to like predict the behavior of nature before we even observe it. So I think back while they were doing like new particle physics research at the beginning of the 20th century, they were able to like predict the existence of the neutrino before anybody even knew that there was a particle called a neutrino. There was like they were measuring the speeds of electrons being shot off of this reaction, and they were slower than expected. And so they realized that they must be having less energy because that energy is going towards building a neutrino instead of launching this electron through space. I think that's amazing that they're just like, oh, that number is weird. There must be a new particle.
Yeah,
I think that's incredible.
I wish Asher was here for that because he had a whole thing last week for neutrinos. That's all he talked about last week for his like main topic. And yeah, he probably would have a lot to say about that since I don't know how versed you are in neutrinos, Rose.
I'm not as well versed as engineers or physicists.
Yeah, but
I'm like
I'm not that well versed. I just like that hearing about that blew my mind.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. The phenomena of that is wild. Yeah.
I mean, even stuff we take like that is amazing, but even stuff that we take for granted, which is probably easier than I'm thinking, but just weather forecasts. I mean, if you went back in time and
predicted the weather and
yeah, you're like, all right,
Yeah.
on Tuesday it's going to rain. You would be a witch to like the 1700s,
Yeah.
1600s.
Absolutely.
So, like, technology's come a long way.
So I'll be excited.
Is that your?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, Nolan, is that like your be all end all favorite phenomenon?
Oh no, meteorology? No.
I don't know, man. Like that's cool. It is for somebody.
No, I'd say mine is probably evolution.
Okay.
Because you get a lot of people denying it, but there's so much evidence out there, and it is blown like you can't like Northern Lights. I didn't even think about saying that for mine because I just kind of didn't forget about them, of course, but especially being up in the UP, but I just didn't think of it, I guess. But that's got to be up there too. It's close to that being number one, but evolution, I can't recreate when my mind was blown on like, you get taught it in high school, maybe if you're lucky. If you do, they graze over it. But when I went to college and took an evolution class, and my mind was just like blown when I realized like what everything is, because it kind of explains a whole lot and more than it goes deep. Like it just is deep rooted, and I'd say that's my favorite one, just because it blew my mind. Like my whole it was like watching the movie Inception, even though I've never seen it, but everyone talks about that, and it's like, or better for me to relate to is Shutter Island. Have you ever seen Shutter Island?
That is a great movie.
No.
Oh, you gotta watch that. Have you seen Inception?
Yeah, I'll
though?
have to turn that one on. Nope, haven't seen that one either.
Yeah,
I know
neither
the
have
general
I.
premise. Like,
But Shutter Island is like, I'm not gonna spoil it because the plot twist blew my mind to the point where I'm like, I hate rewatching movies. Rose knows this. My entire family and chat knows this. Everyone knows this about me. I hate rewatching movies, but that one, it made me immediately want to rewatch it, even though I didn't, because I was like, I missed something, but I feel like I don't know. There's some details, but I had a mind blown.
okay, yeah, I'll have to see that this week then.
Yeah, it's so good. It's a good movie. But what about you, Rose? Since we hit me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say generally I really like topics that are just fall within cosmology. I think my favorite topic to talk about is it kind of goes back and forth between the expansion of the universe and then how the universe is going to end and like the different like predictions of it, because I did a like a little speech on it on the Big Crunch theory back in high school, and I just thought it was like so interesting. And even now I'm in differential equations right now to finish up my math degree by a couple credits, and we have to do like a final project, and one of the the project options is like radioactive decay in the universe, and I'm like, oh, heck yeah, that's what I want to do. So I would say literally anything just involving that phenomena in general is like my favorite topic.
Okay, right on. And so with the big crunch, what is like the driving force behind everything reversing its expansion?
I think so how I explained it years ago, right, was what did I do? I was like, it's almost like if you pull a slinky out, right, and the slinky is going to come back and collapse on itself. I just clapped on that microphone. It's the same idea. So like it's like a limited. I didn't research this, but I haven't refreshed my memory. But I want to say it has something to do with like a finite amount of energy that's going to go back in, rather than just die off like it would in the radioactive decay way. It's going to come back in on itself. And then and what's really neat is that in my head I picture it kind of being like a cyclical thing where it's going to expand, Big Bang, like we think of, and then come back in and crunch back into another like finite point, or a little like a condensed point. And so then the idea is that it's going to like Big Bang again and just keep going.
Okay, roughly.
Roughly. I mean, fact check me.
Yeah.
But yes.
No, I've heard that idea before, but yeah, that's super interesting. The thing about it being kind of like a slinky, I learned recently that the reason that like rubber bands and slinkies work like that is because of the entropy of the universe. And so like when you stretch a slinky, because you've decreased the entropy in like the chemical bonds between the rubber molecules.
Yeah.
The entropy of the universe encourages them to like shake harder and pull it back together.
I
don't know. I just thought that was super
entropy,
interesting.
I think back in like Chem 112 when I had to do like equations regarding to entropy. Remind me what you think what it is.
I mean, like the best description I can give is it's kind of like the disorder in the universe. And so generally the universe tends towards disorder. So things that are cold are very ordered, right? They're in crystals. They have set segments to them. Things that are hot kind of shake about randomly. And so basically entropy is the idea that everything, will eventually. Sorry, your dog is.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we can't stop it. He just likes his toys.
Anyway, yeah, basically the idea is everything will be as disordered as possible by the end of the universe in one capacity or another.
I don't know why when I think of entropy, I think of like random stuff. Is that also like in part of the definition, like the word random at all?
Well, if it's ordered, so it's ordered versus random.
Yeah,
kind of, so.
Right.
Okay, because like when I hear entropy, I just get triggered to the word random, but that makes sense because disorder is kind of random. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Entropy was one of those words that took me forever to like actually memorize what it means.
I just remember it being a whole unit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Shane, another question, because we're still interrogating you, even though it doesn't feel like it. What would you say? This one was also another one that I thought of just randomly, which we also almost got into with the flat earther thing. But what would you say to someone who just doesn't believe in science? Example, someone who doesn't think space exists.
Do those people exist?
Yes, they're called flat earthers.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but
I'm anti-flat earth so hard. It's like I say it almost every time we're doing this.
He'll listen to lives about people arguing about flat like earthers, like when we're going to bed, and I'm like, dude, you gotta. I'm enraged. I can't fall asleep.
Yeah. I see them all the time on Instagram. Just people like you'll post anything about space, and they'll be like, "Nope, Earth is flat." And I can't tell what percentage of them are like serious about it, and what percentage are like just trying to get you angry.
I know. Mm-hmm. There's this one guy I know on TikTok that actually goes live pretending he's the opposite side. Sometimes he does flat earth, sometimes he does other things, and then he switches it halfway through, and he switches everything. And then I don't know, I never stay for him because it's just weird, but yeah, I watch a lot of flat earth lives because
do you feel yourself getting dumber?
Well, I watch it. I watch people defending against flat Earth. So I see people like on TikTok, especially because I think TikTok recommends a live to you every like 7 scrolls, and I'll click on one, and then you get like that's all you get. So I'm not gonna lie, I click on them because I get interested, because they're like, it's titled "Prove to me that the Earth is flat, please," and then they'll just defend the truth. And I find it interesting that there's that many people out there that genuinely think that there's just conspiracy theories and there's an edge and that there's like a flat Earth on. I don't even know.
They heard that Christopher Columbus fell off the edge in elementary school, and that really stuck with them.
Yeah.
But he never got a
Yeah,
chance to
sorry,
answer
I
the question.
rambled. My bad.
No, it's good. So I guess to answer your question, like, what do you say to somebody that doesn't believe in science? Like, there's nothing to believe. There's just things that you can and cannot prove. And so, like, okay, go ahead and prove that the Earth is flat. Like, good luck. I'm going to show you like 20 reasons why your experiment is terrible.
That's a good answer. Good answer. Yeah, I actually hear that a lot when people are arguing on live streams on the internet. It's not something you really just believe because it's proven and supported with experiments and data. Or do you say data?
I kind of flip-flop.
Yeah, me
Usually
too.
I say data.
Depends on the context.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, this one's a fun question brought to you by Rose. Who is your academic idol, or just a regular idol?
So I'll be honest. I don't really have any idols. I don't have any way I'm like, oh man, I want to be just like them. There are certainly people I look up to, but I don't have somebody that's like, oh, that's my hero. I wish I could meet them. But if I had to pick some people, I selected Scott Kelly. So he's the senator for Arizona. He's one of them. He used to be an astronaut. He spent about a year in space, and his twin brother Mark spent the same amount of time on the ground, obviously. And they studied like the physiological differences between them, so they could see like the effects of space flight on the human body. I don't know. He just seems like a real stand-up guy, and like he went to space, and now he's a senator, and so I guess he's somebody that I do look up to.
I didn't know he was a senator. I've definitely seen like his picture, like I can see him right now in my head, but I didn't know he was a senator now.
Yeah. I think he ran for the first time in 2019 and ended up winning. I think. So yeah.
You said Arizona?
Go to space. I guess it's good for your career. Yeah.
Huh. That's cool.
Suddenly there's an uptick in politics going to space, or politicians.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, if you're new around here, Rose's is Albert Einstein.
Yeah. I love Albert Einstein.
Nice.
I think I don't really know how it started. I think that when I was a kid, I think my mom showed me like E = MC squared and like said it's this cool equation and this really smart guy came up with it, and I just fell in love with it. I was just like, oh my god, I need to know everything about this man. Science, oh my god. And so I read like I always get it mixed up, autobiography versus biography, whatever. Like Einstein did not write a book for second graders, but I read a book for second graders about Einstein. And I can still remember reading it. I don't know. And ever since then, just crazy about Einstein.
Nice. That's awesome. I remember in physics, like learning what E = MC squared like really means, and that like I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Yeah.
Like the idea that matter it genuinely is energy. That was like just crazy to think about.
Mm-hmm. I felt that way when I think I was in intro to physics, but in high school. And there's one of like the basic equations I use for everything, and then I watched like one of those minute physics videos. And it elaborated on how like basically it's really like there's all this other stuff to the equation that Einstein added, but we don't care about it because we're not large orbiting bodies, so it doesn't affect us. And I remember being mind blown because like really we're using like Newtonian level physics that was just elaborated on by Einstein, but we throw the Einstein stuff out the door for us in intro to physics because it doesn't matter. And so when I saw that video, I was like, mind blown.
Yeah. To continue going with that, like you learn E = MC squared and what that really means. But then like I learned more recently that everything, like all matter is just waves, and like it's just disturbances in like 7 overlapping fields in the universe. That's crazy that everything is just fields. and not actually like things.
It's so complex that you can just make it sound simple by calling it a field.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's. I was just gonna say that, and I'm in another math class, and there's two ways to like define the answer to one problem, and I was like, okay, I told the professor, I'm like, every time I read things about this, everyone's talking about field theory, and he goes, yeah, we don't talk about that here, we don't need it, but that is a thing, and I feel like it's just like all the solutions that talk about field theory are like 3 lines long, and all the ones that don't are much longer. It's like, yeah, I really like field theory though, because it makes my life simple. Or does it?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm having flashbacks to Calc 3, and like, I think I'll pass.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Shane, as you congratulations on completing your degree, by the way.
Thanks, appreciate it.
And since completing your degree, do you have a favorite class you took out of your however many years you spent in university? Yeah,
so I spent, 3.5, 4.5 if you count an extra year of like early college, high school. And I racked my brain trying to think of the best class, but like I said earlier, like I loved all of it to bits. In spring of 2023, I got to take space mechanics, which is like studying like the orbits of planetary bodies and like how to do like cislunar transport, and yeah, just the mechanics of objects in space, and that was phenomenal. Can you hear me?
Really cool.
Okay. My headphones just started acting up. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one. I really enjoyed linear algebra.
Ooh, did you just say
just
linear algebra was one of your favorites?
Yes, yeah, I loved that class.
Okay, wait. Linear algebra was fun.
Fair,
I did like lin algebra, but abstract, awful.
Yeah, I've heard that, and I don't even know what abstract is. So
I took it, and I can't tell you.
Okay.
It was cool. I think actually, it's just the name says exactly what it's like. It's just it's a very abstract way of thinking about math, and I like very like I don't know, like steps by step, very like basic algebraic thinking. Solve for x. I like that math, not spin this cube how many times to preserve its shape, and then what are all these permutations? That awful.
Okay.
But I do think that unit was the best unit in the entire class.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Oh, so you had a linear algebra unit in your abstract class?
What? Say that again? Sorry,
You had just a unit of lin alg in your abstract algebra.
No, I took a whole class of lin alg my freshman year,
and
then I took abstract later.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So abstract is one of your favorites, or linear?
No, linear was one of my favorites, and then also the name is eluding me now. It was like a class on controls. Oh, dynamic systems. That's what it was.
Ooh.
It was studying like the mechanics of mass, spring, and damper systems. So kind of like your car's tire is a mass on a spring, and then it's got a damper inside of it. So studying like how to tune those things and like have the proper spring constants and the ordinary differential equations that go along with it. That class was super interesting.
Yeah.
Because you got to learn about like PID controllers and like how your car's cruise control works, and I don't know, I just really enjoyed that one, seeing how you can mathematically set up a system to like reach some kind of goal.
Yeah. I'm more touching on like the whole like spring dampening, all that stuff right now. I think we just finished that unit, so it's the closest I can get to like relating to all of it. But it is pretty interesting, and those kind of differential equations were very fun because like it goes back to just liking very algebraic thinking and like here's your steps and do the problem. That was great. It was a great portion of class.
Yeah. It started to lose me though. At the end of the semester, we started talking about like root locuses and stuff like that. Have you worked with those?
No, but the name sounds disgusting.
Yeah, it's like, complex numbers, which I'm already grateful that I missed out on because I didn't do electrical engineering. Mm-hmm. But they had to squeeze them in somewhere for my degree. and that was where they did it, and it drove me nuts.
I feel like I could see why. Maybe not see why, but I can.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll stick to the regular numbers.
Yeah.
How about you guys? I mean, what was your
Um,
favorite classes
I have
up to this
one
point?
class that immediately comes to mind that probably takes the cake, and that is the class I was most afraid of was comparative anatomy, which I thought was just going to be like human anatomy and physiology, which, by the way, if my mom's watching, I'm taking that in the fall, so wish me luck. But comparative anatomy, I thought was just gonna be like harder than that because of the word comparative. I'm like, what are we doing here? And basically, you're studying evolution and anatomy at the same time, and seeing how different structures of bones, muscles, their physiology, and other things relate to evolution. And you basically start from the beginning of like before vertebrates exist to all the way to today, and you dissect 3 animals in the process of doing that, because you do a lecture, but then the lab is you dissecting 3 different animals at the same time throughout the whole semester. And so we dissected a bullfrog, which some high school level stuff, but then we dissected a mink, which you'd have to go to like a really bougie high school to dissect a mink, and you probably wouldn't get nearly as much time on it. And then we also dissected a dogfish shark, which
No way.
yeah, and the shark. When I say shark, everyone's thinking like great white size or nurse shark size, but it's more like I don't know a good reference. I would say like this big, but it's not a good reference. I don't.
I'm trying to think of like a similar length in fish, maybe like a perch.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I was like, that's a very like. Some people will know how to like the length of a perch.
Okay, I don't know what a perch length is. I'd say 2 of these textbooks.
2
Like,
of them. I always thought it was smaller.
no, it's.
Okay, maybe not a perch.
She wasn't in the same room. That's
Okay.
another reason why I want to like
You
put a
Gotcha.
physical
Yeah,
reference.
right.
Like, it's like this textbook and another one. That's the length of the
Pike.
of the shark.
That's my fish knowledge. It's not that great.
But a dogfish shark has eyes that resemble like almost like a human, because it has whites in its eyes, and that's kind of creepy. Couldn't really see them because it was not alive, but the one we dissected was pregnant, so that was kind of cool.
Dang. Yeah. And it was like a full-on shark. It had the teeth and everything.
Yeah. Actually, I don't remember any teeth. They might have taken those out because it is processed. They don't just fish them out and then hand them to you. They actually fish them out, probably euthanize it, and then they run latex through its veins and arteries, and maybe different colored latex through its lymphatic system, so you can see the differences, and you can actually see them. It's basically like highlighting them, which was cool as well. But it's one thing learning it from a textbook and just being like, yeah, this is where this is where that is, and then it's another thing learning in a textbook and then putting it to use and actually taking it out.
Yeah, right.
The one thing that blew my mind the most was we had to look for like, what is it, sebaceous glands and or something else, but it was basically like a tubing in the whatever location we were looking at. It was basically like tubing that was intertwined with each other, and then you chop it off, so then you're just looking for dots. And then you had to like think 3D for a second, because you're like, that doesn't look like tubing. It just looks like a bunch of dots. But then you're realizing if you take a bunch of like tangled tubes and then you chop it in half and look at it from above, all you're gonna see are those like holes, basically. Which was hard to think about at first. But then I was like, oh my God, I'm dumb. How did I not think of that? But it was stuff like that where you had to think 3D.
Little spatial reasoning. Real quick.
It's kind of like when you have to think 3D and physics for the right-hand rule, which I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know.
I still, like, I remember being in linear,
yeah,
it was Lin Alge, and my professor was doing this stuff, and he was like, But like I have never at that point I had never seen that before, and I was like, I have no idea what he's doing right now.
Yeah. They just introduced you to that in Lynn Elge?
Yeah. Well, I would say that was I would argue that it really wasn't introduced, and it was more like just like jump in to the deep end.
Yeah, right. Huh.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
But it
because
got
you guys
covered
were
a
talking
little
about
bit.
like determinants and everything.
Hmm?
You guys were talking about like determinants and cross products.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
And that leaves you, Rose. What's your favorite class so far?
Ooh. Oh, that's a good question. I think that one of my favorite classes. I actually feel a little bad. So I had like a favorite professor, but I don't think my favorite class is with my favorite professor. I just love my professor. But my favorite class is probably operating systems. It's a hot take, I feel like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in algorithms right now, and I actually really like algorithms. I feel like it comes very easily to me. But I also think it might just be the professor I have for that class. I think he's just really good. But yeah, operating systems is really fun. Oh, I took an elective. I took an elective with the same man who taught operating systems, and it was called Unix administration. So it was like on a command shell, like do all these things, work with the file system. And I was like, that class was super fun. And I feel like I use it all the time, like in the real world, like in my job and stuff, because like you have to know how to work on a command line. And it comes in handy too, both of those classes that I just mentioned by that professor, just because I don't know. I feel like I retain the most from him. Yeah, 100% operating systems and Unix administration.
Gotcha. And so for operating systems, did you go through like the different levels of abstraction and everything?
Yeah.
Or was it more? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then it was kind of cool because at the end we had to program our own bash shell. And I remember being so stressed out about that. Like I think I went like an entire weekend without sleep, and I like don't do that. But I did manage to code an entire shell. It was 500 plus lines of code.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty sick. What else did we do? We did a lot. There were a lot of cool stuff. I don't know. It was a fun class, but yeah.
So can you, like, quickly, is it even possible to describe how NAND gates can like create? Because it is NAND gates that they use to like build like a whole computer, right?
Yeah, I feel like I definitely touched on NAND gates more in micro architecture, which was also a really fun class because that was the first time I ever had to play with a breadboard.
Okay.
And for that, I built a hex keypad calculator. Pretty sure is what it was. So in terms of like, I probably couldn't describe how they do NAND gates in terms of building. Yeah. I'm trailing off now because now I'm thinking of like, can I? I don't think I can. Yeah, because I don't think we didn't really talk about NAND gates as much in the operating systems as much as we did in micro. Yeah.
Okay.
How do you spell NAND gates?
And like N and.
Oh, NAND.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not and.
Not
Like,
and,
like,
yeah.
Is it like non-bread or like I don't know. I was just that was what I was drifting off while you were talking. Sorry, but sometimes I just like.
Did you eat today?
I don't even remember the last time I ate, but yeah. Anyways, Shane, you have provided me a video, which I'm gonna throw up on screen, which I just realized I have to exit out, dox myself. Oh wait, no, I don't. I don't have to dox myself at all. So yeah, I've thrown that up. Let me get back to the.
Nice.
Oh no. Don't speak. There we go. Sweet. So I guess what am I looking at?
Yeah, so I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on this. This came across my feed, I don't know, a few months ago, and this video is from like 2008. And basically, they took a rat brain that was like grown in a lab, and they used it to control this robot. And I'm curious if that's ethical at all.
Ooh, this is perfect question because I feel like Rose and I might split. We might split on
You're
this.
gonna be like, it's a rat, it's fine, and I'm gonna be like, I don't know.
I used to own a rat.
Yeah, this is sensitive.
So I guess to start with, so are rats by nature like sentient? Are they? Do they have knowledge? I don't know.
Wait, hold this real quick.
They have souls.
Okay. That, I feel like, I don't know.
This is
I gotta look up the definition of sentient real quick because
Oh, you're the biologist, man. You're supposed to know.
I feel like I have an idea, but like I need like an exact definition because I feel like I would say no at first, but
define what you mean by
capable of
sentient.
sensing or feeling, yes.
Right.
But soul, I would say no. But
Okay.
I'm
why-
also as blunt to say there might not be such thing as a soul. So
Right.
Okay, well then I can put because if a rat doesn't have a soul and a dog doesn't have a soul, why does a soul get to define whether or not it's ethical?
Oh,
If it's
well, we
capable
haven't
of
gotten
feeling
we
or
haven't gotten
sensing.
there.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. That's a good point.
Let's see if I can keep playing. No, I can't. But I'll play that one more time. So you were basically asking if we think it's ethical to what? Wait, so what do they do? They
Yeah.
take
So
the
I guess
brain out
to
of
start,
this?
like, it is indeed conscious, right?
Yeah, I think so because it is able to feel
Right.
and probably experience some sort of emotion, or at least what it would appear to be emotion. I don't know, Rose, you had
Yeah.
rats.
Yeah, rats are great. Rats are very smart. I'm pretty sure that they're very similar, if not smarter, than dogs.
Although it is bothering me. Is this a mouse or a rat?
I think it's a rat. Does it say a mouse in the video?
A robot being controlled. No, it is rat. Cool.
Okay.
So wait.
So if the brain is grown in a lab, because that's what they did,
Oh,
is it
See,
still the
that-
same as like a normal rat
That's-
brain?
I think we could all live in a world where it is ethical, and that might be extreme to some people. But if that's grown in a lab, also, we would. Back when ethics weren't as heavily weighed on everything as when a lot of good science happened, and we wouldn't solve it without a lot of maybe rat testing. There's not a lot of good
The
examples
reason
out
we
there.
can perform the first heart transplant is because we did one on a dog or something.
Exactly. So stuff like
Mm.
that. I mean, we've sent animals to space. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's all the
Mabel
same-
and what's the other one? There's a few, but then the really sad thing is a lot of the space animals died.
no.
Came back
Let's
dead.
let's talk about
There were some successful ones, but there were also
Yeah.
plenty of not successful ones.
Wait, do you remember the ones I was
No, I
sent
don't.
you?
It's like
it was
they
2
were-
dogs. Russian dogs.
Oh my god, yes. What were their names?
I'll just look it up again. But anyways, I think that we should be able to research this type of stuff because it is groundbreaking, especially with like Neuralink or whatever it's called from Tesla.
Mhm.
How is that going?
There's one guy that has it, and was actually talking on a video to some public meeting or public, what is that, like panel or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying how it feels moving the mouse with his mind. So he must be able to connect to some screen and move a mouse with his mind. And he said he can't even explain the feeling and how amazing it is. But I don't know. I'm hesitant to like believe everything that I hear with that. But
Mhm.
so Rose, you think it's unethical?
I think that this is a very like blurry line, and I don't know where I fall on it because at least if it's grown in a lab, right, then that means that you're not like just going around grabbing rats and like slicing their heads off, whatever. Which it's hard because I also agree with the point that we like. Unfortunately, there are times when you have to do things like that to make scientific breakthroughs, but I would love alternatives like growing a brain in a lab. But also, like you said, if it's a brain, it's sentient. It should be able.
Yeah.
I wonder how that works. Like,
Are you saying they like?
how does it feel to be a robot?
Yeah. Right. Like.
Because you don't have nerve endings in your skin. You know, you're not just like one giant living organism. You're a living thing, but in a metal body.
Right. Something that like doesn't make use of the extent of your brain's capabilities, really, right? Because you can't like feel everything that you're supposed to.
Right.
Is that ethical to prevent a living being from feeling its own like natural body? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is.
What do you think about this, Shane?
I don't know. Like I've kind of also fallen like the blurry Like if okay, think about this. If it's a human brain that was grown in a lab and now it's controlling this robot, like how do we know that it's not in agony all hours of the day or something?
That's true.
Yeah. Well, that's like
That's kind of where I go. Like I don't know that it's not terrible for the rat.
right.
That's true. Like, what if that moving around is actually it just like freaking out from like being in pain?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also wonder too. So if it's even though it's able to control, in this case, this little robot body, like you're in a way controlling. It's still like I don't know like. Mm-hmm. I can't think of the right words to explain this. I feel like in a way you're taking some kind of freedom away from the brain, even by giving it an artificial body, because it just opens up so many doors that would be unethical. So even if this falls under not unethical, it's what does this mean for future breakthroughs? Because I think that this could very easily, like, when someone's like, oh, we can grow a rat brain, let's grow a human brain.
Right.
Maybe not. And then it's what are you growing it for, and what artificial thing do you put it in, and what job do you give it? Are you assigning, like, does this robot have a job? Because like then I think it would definitely be unethical. Like now you're just assigning, I don't know.
In a way,
it gets really deep and weird.
Slavery, almost in a way.
What was that?
Is that not almost slavery? Like to grow a brain and then force it to work?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I fall more on the side of this is unethical than I do that this is ethical. Although, like you said, there are points where that blurry line needs to be removed
right,
for
yeah.
the breakthroughs. But I do think that I still fall under this is probably unethical.
So I don't know. I'm on like this is, I don't know, kind of not that bad, because I've gone out with a biology team, which is just a professor and a bunch of students, and we've trapped a bunch of mice, and we got like 50 mice because we're trying to study parasite populations in the area. Not necessarily studying just like mouse brain or how the feet of every mouse is doing in the region or something on the mouse. It's mainly for parasite population, although they do keep the mice to study the mice if we need to. But the most we do is just like identify which species of mouse we caught, because 2 of them look identical. So would you say killing 50 mice to study them is unethical, even though their population overall is doing fine? Some people might be on that line, and I know it bothered Rose, I think, when I told her that, like, the details of that, which I won't go in on this thing, but yeah. So I mean, those happen all the time, and mice have such a strong population that it doesn't even damage the ecosystem. So
part of me gets this line of like, who are we to determine when a life is salvageable to that point? And this is very hard into like the ethics world, I think, like where I just don't know. Most of the times that's how I feel. I'm like, who am I to decide what life is salvageable for the case of science and what life isn't? It's like those hard like, the trains going down 2 railroads, and like one path is this horrible thing, this other path is this also horrible thing. What path are you choosing? It feels like that to me. I'm like, okay, kill the rat, don't kill the rat. Someone's gonna be mad at me if I do, someone's gonna be mad at me if I don't. Who am I to decide which one's right?
There's realistically probably no right answer here.
Yeah, I mean, the best we can do is like, in your example, Nolan, there's already like established ethics practices for like killing mice and like doing it in a responsible way that like doesn't prolong their suffering or anything.
Yep, and that's what we were actually not really trained, but told how to do. They're like, all right, we're gonna trap mice with these traps. Most of the time, it kills them. But sometimes when we stumble upon them to collect them the next day or the next morning, they're still suffering. So we have to euthanize them right there, because it's not right to just have them suffer.
Right. So what I'm saying, though, is that there's like a set process for that. It's not really a set process for keeping its brain in containment and
right. So that's where it gets like
alive.
I think that's where it gets like it's such a new thing that we haven't even thought that far.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of like amendments in the law. That shit was made like, pardon my language, family friendly. That stuff was made like, I don't know, hundreds of years ago, but we're still using it. So we kind of need to update it. Well, that's kind of a terrible analogy, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's
I see what you're saying.
It's hard to keep up with technology, with rules. And then it takes so long to establish rules. It takes longer to actually enforce them. And then it takes longer for it to be normal. So, yeah. But damn, that's a really good question. I was when you were talking about this, I thought you were gonna like, I don't know, go on a whole spiel, and I was gonna be like, oh, that's cool, and it still is cool. But I'm like, that was a really good question.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta go. I haven't eaten anything today, so I'm gonna have to take off here.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, I didn't mean to keep you that long. We just got
No, that's
rambling.
totally fine.
So
yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I had a blast. So if you ever feel like calling me back, I would love to be on again. And yeah, good luck with the rest of the episode.
Awesome. Thank you.
Shane.
Thank you, Shane. And yeah, we'll catch you next time.
Right on. See you guys.
See ya. All right. And so as we switch over to the regular part of the stream, not that that was irregular, that was a special part. I am going to set that up right now by putting us back on a normal face cam. Hope you don't mind, chat. And I do see a chat on here. Rose, I don't know if you want to read it.
What one?
The newest one on the bottom.
Are y'all scientists? What is this?
Are y'all scientists? What is this? Good question, and I'm actually glad you said that because I feel like I have gone a little bit without actually reiterating what
this is about.
Yeah, what this is about. So let me end this call. So my name is Nolan. This is Rose. For the new person in chat, we are not scientists officially, although technically, if you want to consider us scientists, since I have a degree, that counts. But I
Well, you get the words, specific, fields, right? Like I'm in computer science and math. Nolan's in biology with you can tell yourself.
Yeah. So Rose, computer science and math. She's still in school, student. I still feel like a student because I just graduated, but I'm also gonna go back to school. So you could consider us both students. That haven't started our careers yet, but that doesn't mean we can't talk about science. So it feels kind of like that's why I changed from wearing a lab coat because I feel like I was like, well, I'm not doing any like science here. And even when I was, I still felt silly because I'm just in my living room or not my living room, my bedroom. As you can see, I'm still in a bedroom, but I still like the bow tie though. So I had to switch that because I didn't feel like I was doing like actual science here, but I'll have way more lab coats soon because I'm going back to school for clinical lab science. So yeah, I would say we're scientists, but not like doctorate.
No. I think
stuff.
what ScienceHD is about is that Nolan and I really like talking about science to the point where like this is like even when we're not on camera doing the show, this is what Nolan and I talk about. And it's like we would sit and listen to ourselves talk sometimes and be like, damn, we should make a podcast. This is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So that's what this is really about. It's like let's why not talk and people can listen if they want. Go somewhere cool, but doesn't also cool, because really what this is about is just like talking about things that we think are cool, getting other people a chance to talk about things they think are cool in science. Yeah, so it's more about like, hey, let's talk about these really cool scientific things that we don't get a chance to talk about outside of this, outside of us having a conversation, and just kind of give a catalyst for that. So that's what it's really about. It's just like, here, let's talk about these cool, fun, nerdy topics that we can't talk about much outside of this.
She's right. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Great question, and thanks for being a new chatter and asking those questions, because a lot of people probably just stumble upon it and be like, oh god, they're two scientists, let's get out of here. But yeah, we're just young, and I think this actually started probably one day when we're talking in a deep dive, just like how we did with Shane, where we're like, what about this and this and this, and then we're like, This could be a podcast.
Yeah. It's very much like like we talk about cool things all the time. All the time together, deep dives. It's just how we spend our time.
Yeah. New chatter says I have gripes with math and comp sci. Rose can change that for you, actually.
I wasn't always I didn't go to college thinking I was going to be a comp sci and math major. I came here for physics because I wanted to go become an astrophysicist. Because I want to work for NASA. That was like where I see myself going, right? And then I came to the College I'm at, and their physics program is so small that if you miss one class, like they don't offer it for another year. And so then as you get further into the degree, if you miss a class, they don't offer it for another 2. So once I missed the one class, I am now like very behind. And so I took a comp sci class just kind of for funsies for a gen ed, and I fell in love with it. I thought it was so cool. It came really naturally to me, and I was like, I could do this. And so I met with advisor and everything to start talking more about it and switched my major to comp sci. And then math just kind of followed because comp sci requires a math minor where I'm at, and I just kept taking math classes for fun because I had a really great professor who I adore. And she was like, keep taking them. And so I did, and now I'm going to graduate with 2 majors.
Nice. Yeah, Rose, I don't have gripes. I just don't understand a lot of when Rose explains things. But then I try to understand more, then I try connecting things, and, I try to learn. But it gets so complex over there. I understand that you might have gripes, although you do say you're joking because you're a physicist and comp sci is just scary. I'm right there with you. I like ScienceHD as well because I feel like we're on 2 sides of the science. I think you started as a physics major with a minor in math, and I started as zoology and ended as zoology. But your love for physics never went away, and you're still learning about it, and you already had knowledge about it. So, and then Asher goes full physics.
Yeah.
Now Rose is not drifted away, but like on a new path where she knows a lot about like technology-based things or coding and computer science, which is growing faster than a lot of science things that appears that way. I don't know. We have Neuralink now, which is now stepping into biology, and that's where I like to spend my time. And I'm going to be spending more of my time in human biology because it's my new career path, hopefully. But anyways, just so we don't stretch this episode too long, we're gonna
have some good clips from this.
Yeah, I am gonna move to our next segment, which I named Awesome Camels. Which, if you're new here at ScienceHD, I like to have fun titles for segments, and I like to have some reoccurring segments, which some of those are appearing today as reoccurring.
Every time I see anything about camels, I immediately go camel or dromedarian, or is a dromedarian a camel?
I knew it's just dromedary.
Dromedary.
Yeah.
I like dromedarian.
Dromedarian.
It's like rolls nice. Okay, dromedary. Lame.
And I was going to look up the difference. I forgot.
I think
I think it's
1 hump, 2 humps. One's a camel, one's a dromedary.
I was hoping you weren't gonna ask about that because I was totally like, I should look at it. There's so much. There's so much about. Right, yeah, look it up.
I'm gonna look it up.
See, that's another reason why I want to point out that we're not professionals, is because I don't know everything about everything, and I know people that would probably know that like that. I mean, there's people probably in chat that know it like that.
The best part is we've had this conversation before. This has definitely popped up.
But anyways, there's such a deep dive on camels, and then as I'm looking into them, I'm like, oh my gosh, camels are incredible. But there's just some things that made me want to talk about them. And I usually start talking about a topic on ScienceHD because I get my mind blown by them in some way, and how they entered my mind blown mindset was 2 reasons. The name of this title is Awesome Camel, as in Australia. And Australia actually holds the largest feral population of camels in the world, I'm pretty sure. Or no, they have, okay, I messed that up. There are more feral camels in Australia than there are in Egypt. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. I think somewhere in Africa has like 3 million camel population. I don't remember It might be like Sudan or Kenya or something like that. But yeah, so there's actually more camels feral in Australia than Egypt, which everyone thinks Egypt desert camel, but more like Australia desert camel. And it's actually a problem over there. It's bad because you have to take into consideration this. I wrote some facts down that make you put it into perspective. No matter where you live in America or where you live in other parts of the world, shout out to Australia. I also made this because we have some Australian people out there that like to watch this. But there's invasive species no matter where you go. And then some states or countries might be like, yeah, if it's an invasive species, like an invasive fish, don't throw it back. Just like keep it out. Or maybe that's what you hear from your parents or something.
Sea lampreys, throw them onto the shore or something.
Yeah, but now imagine this invasive species being a big mammal, because that's what it is. So in 1840, camels were introduced to Australia by some guy, of course, who's probably not Australian at all. And between 1840 and 1907, which really isn't that long ago, 67 years, there were camels imported from India. And that's around 10,000 to 20,000 camels. Now that on its own could be a discussion on ScienceHD because of population and genetics. That is probably a solid enough population to sustain like a solid gene pool. And so now they can procreate and create a really big population of camels starting from 10 to 20,000 over that span, if you catch my drift. Now you might be like, why are camels just like released? They probably weren't released. They were probably used and then released. But we're also human, so you got to think like dodo birds. How did the dodo go extinct?
How did they go extinct?
Awesome question. They were on some island I forgot the name of. I forget a lot. No, it's not Dodo Island. That would be funny.
I feel like that there's definitely like a movie where they call it Dodo Island. It is. It's like an animated claymation film with the pirates. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. If you know, you know. But of course you don't know.
No, I don't know. But anyways, dodos went extinct by being on an island innocently, naturally. Humans visiting, and that they're like walking birds. They don't fly. And so their main source of food's on the ground, vegetation and other things probably. What do humans have? Pigs. What do humans do with pigs? Let them run free. What do pigs do when they run free? Go nuts on everything. And so like domesticated animals like pigs ate the dodos' consumption. Also, they were hunting dodos, I'm pretty sure. So it was like a double whammy.
Probably like a delicacy meal too. Those people that eat like weird animals as meals because that's like a flex for some reason.
Yeah. So the dodo went extinct that way, and similarly, camels went rampant because humans just like are terrible at keeping track of animals that they use in places that they didn't originally spawn. Wow, I played too much video games. But they didn't originally originate from, I guess. I'm not really talking with good English today. But anyways, that's not the most interesting thing about camels to me. That's just what made me like go like, wow, that's crazy. Just to give you an idea, they're ruining the ecosystem over there in Australia because camels, they damage the water holes. Now you might be like, oh, that's just a lot of camels drinking from water hole. To put it in perspective, let me see. Oh yeah, so camels can drink 20 gallons of water at a time. And they can actually last a while without drinking water.
It's stored in their hump, right?
No.
Or is that false? Oh no, it's right. It's not.
It's not.
Fat. It's like fat and muscle and whatever the frick, but not water.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow.
She said that water stored in the hump.
I knew better.
Common misconception. So that's another interesting thing about camels is they have a hump or two humps, and Although one of them's dromedary. Which one?
Oh, yeah. So dromedary is still within camel. So you can have a camel that is a dromedary, or you can have a camel that's this other kind of camel. But dromedary is camel.
So it's probably like
All
a subspecies
dromedary
or
are camels. Not all camels are dromedary.
squares and rectangles.
Yep.
Gotcha. So I am saying the right thing by just calling them all camels.
Yeah.
But no matter how many humps, they have humps not for water, but for storing fat. And that fat stores energy and food. And they just drink or eat a lot of food. And then it's getting stored in their fat so they can last a long time without eating food. Because where are they at? In the desert. Where's the food? Not in the desert, really. So that's kind of cool. Water, same thing. They can just drink a lot of water. It's stored in their blood vessels, though. So that's interesting. I wonder if there's any. There probably is some like specific like adaptations their blood vessels have to store that much water. 20 gallons. That's incredible. But imagine like 20 gallons just being drained out of your tub by one camel, and then 50 more walk in behind it. To put it in perspective, that's a water hole, and those are all camels. Each one drinks 20 gallons of water, and that blew my mind. So that's not the most interesting thing about camels, though. I'll keep saying that. The most interesting thing that made me want to like talk about this is the fact that they eat cactus or cacti. Like, they don't pick it apart. They don't evade the needles. They go ham on that.
How does that work?
It works by them having a mouth that is highly adapted to eat cacti and sharp things, because their mouth, it might not look like it, but their mouth, which is hard to look at, is like hard leather. I don't know if you ever let a cow lick you before.
Yeah.
And how rough that is. I imagine it's something like that, but more rough. Like, it would probably be kind of hard to stab a small needle through a cow's tongue. Maybe it's not, but it feels like it because the way it licks you is just really rough. And you're like, ouch, that kind of hurt. Like, why does your tongue hurt? You can't imagine that, because if you lick your own hand, you're going to be like, oh, that's soft and squishy. But, yeah. So, I imagine it's like a rough texture, and just in case, yeah, I like the cow reference, because in case you can't imagine how hard skin can get on the inside of a mouth of an animal, I feel like that's a good reference. But yeah, I was just scrolling on TikTok, as one does, and I just saw a camel eat cacti, and it's just like, I was just like, oh my gosh. And it like, their skin must be adapted to withstand it too, because it was like getting all over on the side of its mouth, and it was cool. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting for many reasons.
That was pretty wild. I'm just trying to imagine what that would feel like. Yeah, that's just crazy. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and if you think about it, it makes sense that they're an invasive species, because there is an open niche over in Australia that is probably taken up by kangaroos. That is just perfect for camels. It's desert. There's a huge desert in Australia.
Is it Australia that exports the most amount of camels?
Yeah, they probably do, because that's one of the reasons. That's one of the ways they try to not defeat, but what is the word for it? Just like manage the population. Yeah. Another way, unfortunately, is killing them.
Oh.
Yeah.
What? I guess, okay.
I mean, they're invasive, bro.
I know. I'm thinking of like white-tailed deer. Like, you have hunting seasons for a reason, to manage the amount of white-tailed deer populations. Otherwise, they'll overpopulate. Do they have like camel season? Can I go and kill a camel in Australia? And it's like,
that'd be smart.
Feel bad about it, but like I would feel bad about it.
We need our good friend Gas and Burn to answer that one. Longtime ScienceHD watcher and chatter. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I would love to, next time he comes into the Twitch chat, which if you're on YouTube still, come to the Twitch chat. It's fun. It's just ScienceHD pod. But anyways, I would love to pick an Aussie's brain, about this. So, but yeah, due to lack of time, I'm going to move on to the next one, which I'm actually not as confident in as I was. I was going to talk about blood.
Okay.
Because it's, here's a camel eating a cactus.
That is the most metal thing I think I've seen in my entire life. Just look at that. It is munching on a cacti. What? I want that as a poster behind us. I want it right. It's right there. That is insane.
I know, and that's not even the video I saw, but that just shows how much
like
they
the edges
don't
of its mouth,
give
you know?
a hoot.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's insane.
Yeah, it blows my mind, and
That's hardcore.
it doesn't even make it look good. It doesn't even make it look good.
I don't know.
Also, there's got to be some science behind like watching someone eat food on TV, because every time they do it in cartoons, kids TV shows, adult TV shows, you're like, that always looked so good.
Yeah.
But
I don't know, but I wouldn't say I'm gonna go munch on a cacti right now, but like it makes me think that I might survive it if I did.
no.
I know it'd be bad. Don't munch on a cacti. Don't do it. Yeah, okay. Anyways.
Oh, but other reasons why I like camels is because just like they're highly adaptive to their environment, natural environment, but apparently the Australian one too, because their long legs serve a purpose. It's to put them, well, probably to reach more food, but also to get them away from the heat of the sand. I don't know if you've ever been on a beach, but like you can almost feel the heat radiate off the sand. That's because you can, and it is radiating off the sand because it's bouncing off. And Asher would probably could talk more about that too. But that's cool. And then their feet probably have some heat resistance to them, but they're wide, like very wide, so that they can stand on the sand. If you think like snowshoes.
Like distribution of heat, kind of.
Well, maybe that,
like
but it's
feet would work
distribution
the
of
same
weight.
way.
It's distribution of weight, so they can actually.
So they can walk on sand.
Yeah,
I thought you were saying
no.
walk on sand as if like their feet don't burn from the sand because of the like distribution of something. And I was like, I don't think that works like that.
Nah,
The weight
I
to
don't
walk
know.
on sand better definitely does. So like you said, sand shoes, but sand feet for camels.
Yeah, I don't know. But then the other one is their long eyelashes. Everyone's probably seen camel eyelashes.
Ooh,
If
and
not,
they
look
have-
them up. But that protects them against sand. So
Don't they have the second eyelid too? Like they can cover their eye with like this transparent eyelid to help from
maybe
sand. There's if it's not camels, there's an animal that can
alligators.
do that. But I'm pretty sure a camel does it.
I'm
remember
not sure
learning
about
it.
camels.
I'm gonna look it up again.
Yeah, look it up.
I want to know.
And she looks it up. I'm gonna move on to the next one. I'm gonna go quick for this one. Bloody yo. This is what I call this one. We got Gerbil of Doom saying camels are just secretly 3 honey badgers in a trench coat.
Camels have 3 eyelids. I can't pronounce that one word. Can you? Called a something membrane. The transparent lid helps keep out sand and dust. It can even improve vision like a contact lens. Many animals, including dogs, cats, sharks, and some birds and amphibians, also have 3rd eyelids. Camels have 3 eyelids.
Yeah, so they're just even more adaptive than I thought.
Wild. Camels are cool.
Camels are cool. And those are just awesome camels. But anyways, bloody yo. We're back with the bloody yo. We're moving from Australia to Great Britain. I'm just kidding. So blood. I'm gonna put in what's the opposite of a trigger warning. I don't put any pictures of actual blood on this slide. So if you just clicked off because you can't handle blood, don't worry. Just talking about blood, and I just have diagrams of like zoomed in down to the cell.
Circulatory system?
Yeah, but like zoom down to the cell, and so it's like red blood cell on here like that. And if that makes you uncomfortable, I'm sorry. Might not be a blood thing. I might want to go talk to someone about that.
A weird texture thing.
Reminds me of Fruit Loops. But anyways, I'll have those on the screen while I'm talking about this. Because do you know what blood type you are, by the way? You don't have to say it, but
Ooh, okay. So I've heard that I am O negative, or no, yes? Question mark? O negative, that or it's O, and I'm like, so I'm missing the protein that essentially my body, if I were to get pregnant, I have to get shots. Otherwise, missing the Rh protein is what it's called, I think. Oh my god. It would literally attack like foreign things. I don't know. I haven't looked into it much. I haven't done blood work to get my blood tested. This is just like what I've assumed since I was younger, because that's what I was told. Something weird like that. But I'm pretty sure I'm O. Question mark. Yeah.
I have no idea what blood type I am, but I was thinking about blood types because I'm like, yeah, we kind of just took that idea as kids, and we're like, all right, yeah, there's blood types.
Yeah.
What is that?
Did you know dogs, like, if you had to do a blood transfusion on your dog, they don't adhere to blood types? Like, if Captain needed a blood fusion tomorrow and we gave him one, they don't have to match blood types in dogs. It's not a thing that they do.
Which, by the way, he's just passed out back there.
After thrashing the toy for the first hour of the...
Yeah. I should put a warning at the beginning of videos. If you get triggered by dogs having fun, this is not for you. But anyways, I just did like a small dive. Apparently I'm A positive, unlike my grades. But anyways, I haven't been tested myself. I just took my mom's word for it on being A positive. But even as a kid, I just took my mom's word for, I just took my dog's word for just having, or just there being blood types, which turns out she's right, guys. Much like many things. But there are 4 blood groups, as most people know. We went through A and O, but there's also B and AB, which I was just like, okay, now that I know there's 4 blood types, 4 blood groups, whatever, what does that even mean? So then I look it up, and group A, so apparently me, has A antigens in red blood cells with anti-B antibodies in the plasma, which, if you don't know what plasma is, I also included that in here, which is just like that splurge of yellow goo around there inside the blood vessel. And then the red blood cells are mixed in there. So it's not something in the blood cell, it's something in the blood vessel. So that's a good thing to note as well. But then group B, has B antigens. So I guess the groups are labeled after their antigens so far. And then with anti-A antibodies in the plasma. Group O, which is Rose, has no antigens at all. But they have both anti-A and anti-B antibodies in the plasma. Group AB has A and B antigens, but no antibodies. So it's almost, are there even more permutations than that? It feels like all the permutations, but there's probably more, right? Well,
They just have...
well, I guess if you were to have like AO or BO, but...
Yeah, I don't think... That might be... I wonder if there is a permutation like that. I wonder if you're O negative, maybe that is just another way.
Well, that's what I was on to next, because I'm like, all right, so what? My mom says I'm A positive, not just A. And then Rose says she's O negative, not just O.
Question mark.
Which I think is one of the most rare blood types, or it's one of the most common. I'm not sure.
I think it's rare. I think AB is the most common, or no. I'm wrong. So O negative is I can give blood to anyone, I think, but I can only take in O negative. And then AB, I think, is the opposite, where they can receive blood from anyone. I'm not sure. Where's your mom? Does she know?
O is universal and most sought after. So I said if groups are mixed incorrectly, their antibodies will attack the group's cells. So if A is mixed with B,
AB is universal.
the antibodies in A will attack. And O can be given to anyone because of the no antigens. So yeah, it's kind of cool. And there's a lot. I'm just hitting surface level stuff because I don't know that much yet. But I'm going to be, like, I have 3 textbooks right here that I'm going to be hitting very soon. And I'm going to be going hard on that this summer. And I'm verbally committing, so everyone knows that I'm going nuts on this stuff. And I am actually really interested in how blood works. Like, just seeing this, I think this is the hardest part about biology, is being able to mentally picture. Like, mentally picturing helps me a lot. I'm a visual learner. But the hardest part about biology is, like, being able to grasp cell biology down to, like, almost like visualizing it, but also just like trying to understand it, how that would even work. I think that's why I didn't do as great as I probably could have in cell biology classes, because I just didn't understand how to picture that in my head or wrap my head around cell biology. So yeah, this diagram definitely helps you understand blood, like the basics. But I was talking to the clinical lab science professor, and I just, oops, sorry, I don't know if that messed up audio. I was just looking at a diagram in in the lab, and then I saw like, oh, A, B, O, and then I saw these other different things about proteins, and it was just so complicated that I was like, I have a lot of work to do. The RHD protein is what gives us positive and negative blood groups. So that's how you get your positive and negative, is what I've figured out. And basically, if it's present in your blood, it's positive, absent, negative. But what is it? It's kind of like another antigen. And antigens are cool on their own, and you can go on a whole part of ScienceHD for that, because antigens are like markers in your body that tell you something is not from around here. It's foreign. Like, what is this? And there's lots of different types of antigens. And I think that's what I was looking at, like a chart. And oh my gosh, it is so complex to look at and so intimidating. And I'm scared. But basically, in a nutshell, your body will fight antigens with antibodies. And your body makes antibodies specifically for these antigens using B cells. So if that means nothing to you, great, because it doesn't mean much more than just B cells to me either. But we're going to grow together because this is Science HD. What the cool part is, your body has memory, because your body will remember these antigens for future invasions. But here's where evolution comes into part, I think. Mutations. Whatever was in your body that was foreign can mutate. So like the flu every year, the reason why it changes, why there's more vaccines every year, and why there's different severities is because it mutates, changes its structure, and your body doesn't recognize it at first, and then it's got to restart the whole process as if it's something new, because it is. So I thought that was cool, and this is just like my gateway segment to a whole deeper part of Science HD, because I don't get super complex like Asher might, because he likes neutrinos, which is complex AF.
Subatomic particles.
Yeah, subatomic particles is a little bit more complex than camels.
You could argue, though, that you're doing, something very similar. It's just on a, we're not going to subatomic particles. You're stopping at cells.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not saying anything's wrong with anything. I just, yeah. It's a little change of pace for me to get down this nitty gritty. But I'm going to get down there, and we're going to have fun. But yeah, last topic I'll just graze over. Not because we're running out of time, because there's not a whole lot. And I kind of wanted to just throw this out there because I also wanted to promote the cool sticker. We're on to one of my favorite segments that will... Nope, that's not that one. Wow, I guess... Okay, yeah. On to one of my favorite segments. I forgot to label it. It's Shane Moore. That'd be funny if you just walked through this door.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, so... it's supposed to be called Tick Happens, because guess what? Tick happens. And so now it's just called Shane Moore. And onto the diagram now. This is Shane Moore. A blood feeding, I don't want to say arachnid, but I know they're related to spiders.
Yeah.
Specimen. I think they might be arachnids.
You're right.
I think I am right.
Wow.
It's been a while. I graduated a year ago soon, so it's been a while. But yeah, so ticks are interesting still because I really liked talking about them last time. And I think that it's a good reminder, since we're about to hit the season, that they're reemerging, to remind you to not let the lime touch your coconuts. Now, what do I mean by that is Tick Happens. That's a good... I should just put that as the title. But yeah, don't let the Lyme disease touch your coconuts. And what about my coconuts is just you, man. Or woman. Or neither. But yeah, it's just a fun way of reminding you to check yourself for ticks this spring. And check the places you probably wouldn't usually check. Behind your ears. Nice warm spots like armpits, crevices, places that don't get a lot of sunlight, hair. And check for small ones too, because these bad boys are small. Fun fact, I've only ever had a tick on me once in my life. On me. It wasn't even bit. It was just on me.
Oh. So
and your mom took it off me.
My mom?
Fun fact, yes.
Oh,
Yeah, so that was like last year or 2 years ago. That was the only time I've ever had a tick on me.
I've had one on my head, and my older sister was doing my hair in the bathroom, and I remember her just going, "Rose, don't move." And I was like, "What?" And then she ran away. She didn't tell me. She just ran away. And then she came back with my mom. My mom, picked it off with some tweezers real close and then burned it up, threw it in the toilet.
Huh.
Yeah, one time my dad, I don't know where I think he went walking down in like there's a ditch near our house or something, or some field, tall grass, I don't know, but I swear I think that man had like 17 ticks on him. It was insane. Like there were just several just all over him.
Which blows my mind because like I've only ever had one on me.
Yeah.
And then there's like 17. And I do remember something like that happening.
There for that?
I was there for one of the times where your dad was just like out and doing something. And then he comes back and then your mom's like, "Yo, you got a tick on you." And then he's like, "Oh, let me go take it off," or whatever. And then that happened like 10 more times. And I'm like, I feel like I need to check something right now. But anyways, yeah, so check yourself. Wear tick repellent, which also is probably combined with mosquito repellent. That's a good idea too, since they carry diseases. I took a parasitology class. It's kind of making me paranoid for all these vectors for parasites. Which is what a tick is, which just means that they could be hosts that can give you even smaller parasites. But anyways, long story short, if you do get bit by a tick, there are kits actually out there that you can just like purchase where you can take it off of you. It gives you a tool to take them off, and then it puts it in a little case, and you can actually send that to a lab. I don't know what kit is there, but I've heard of kits where you can send it to a lab, get it tested to see if you have Lyme disease. But don't fret. If this tick is on you and it's only been like less than a day, even if it's been a day, you might most likely be good without getting Lyme disease. Because for some reason, I want to look more into it, the bacterium takes like longer than 24 hours to transfer from the tick to you for Lyme disease, which I want to know more about that. I don't know why, but I want to ask certain people at the university that question because I can't find anything online, and it would be cool to have them on ScienceHD. Yeah, that was mainly what I want to get out there. And then my last fun fact is this tick is actually doing this thing that I also forgot the name of, who had asked that person. He's reaching his little arms out because he is looking for a host to suck the blood of. And that's actually, I forgot what that is called, but there's a term for what he's doing right now. He's basically just doing this. Hey, can I get a ride? Can I get a ride? And then someone's going to walk by and then...
But are you talking about
no,
the term
it's like a real
now, or you mean
term.
like an actual... Okay.
It's like an actual term for ticks
I thought
that I forgot.
On like the...
No, but he's basically hitchhiking, and it works. But yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And you're actually more likely to get bit by a nymph than you are a adult, which a nymph is basically an adolescent tick. I think these, you can't even see it. I can't even see it. These smaller pictures are nymphs. We got a larva, nymph, I think older tick, and then just like adult. But yeah, so all these pictures are them. Forgot the name of it, man. Shane Moore. They're really just reaching out for a host. So
Interesting.
yeah, but that's enough rambling for me. That's Science HD season 2, not premiere. But that's Science HD season 2, episode 2. And thank you for listening. Next week we'll be touching on sleep apnea and its causes, risk factors, symptoms, and how if it's left untreated, it could be pretty harmful. But until then, we challenge you why that might be harmful, or maybe we challenge you why a Lyme disease bacterium takes longer than a day to enter your bloodstream. But until then, we ask, are you ready, Rose? All right. We ask you, what's your hypothesis? Woo! And you know what's awkward is I totally forgot to get the music file.
Okay.
So,
Taking a few too many clicks.
yeah. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. Rose probably appreciates it too. And yeah. Until then, what's your hypothesis? We'll get this. We'll master this later. All right. We'll get better at this. Jeez, we'll get better at this.
We've already grown so much from the first time.
Yeah, we have. So anyways, you guys enjoy the rest of your nights. And,